All right, a happy Monday, especially for you Denver Nuggets fans out there. The Western Conference Finals is over. The Nuggets advanced to the finals in a sweep of the Los Angeles Lakers, and we are going to do a deep dive into the Lakers offseason. You can find their article on ESPN.com. You can find it on my Instagram page. The likelihood is that there'll be a separate article of the Lakers offseason. You'll find that on the ESPN main page. They are Team 27. We will see if we get Team 28 in the Boston Celtics on Tuesday night. Big picture. I know it stings, and I know you lose in 4 games in a sweep, but considering where this team was to start the year, where this team was at the All-Star break, where this team was when the season ended, basically fighting for their lives against the Timberwolves to get out of the first round against Memphis, 2 seed, to get out of the second round against Golden State, the 6 seed, and to play Denver in 4 competitive games. None of them were walkthroughs. There was no basically waving of the white flag here in any of the 4 games here. I think a lot of people would have signed up for this. Now we go into the offseason, and the offseason of a lot of questions. And I know Laker fans are saying, well, wait a minute, Kyrie Irving would look awfully great in a Laker uniform. Pump the brakes. We're going to go through this whole offseason article here. Pump the brakes. I know there's a lot of traction here. Pump the brakes. There's a reason why the Lakers went out and traded Russell Westbrook. And I know people could say, well, Malik Beasley didn't contribute, and Jared Vanderbilt didn't play a role, and D'Angelo Russell and Mo Bamba, those guys. Pump the brakes here. You can go 1 or 2 directions here, and this Lakers front office knows that. And I think people have to remember is that there is a new collective bargaining agreement that is coming into place starting July 1st, where it makes it extremely, extremely difficult to have 3 players earning $120, $130 million and then to build around, especially when you don't have draft picks going forward. And I know they have the 17th and the 47th pick, but they owe New Orleans a pick in 24. They owe Utah a pick in 27. So we're going to go through the offseason here, okay? 2 directions you can go. You can go the cap space route. You can go at the basically, let's put all our eggs in the Kyrie Irving basket. We're just using him as the name because that's going to be the name that's going to be linked. And you can create $30 million in room by waiving Vanderbilt and waiving Bamba and declining the Beasley option and renouncing D'Angelo Russell and renouncing Lonnie Walker and renouncing Rui Hachimura. You can do that. You can go out and you can still keep Austin Reeves because of his low 2.2 cap hold. You want to go out and do that? You can do that. You'd have $30 million in room with LeBron, Kyrie, AD, your 2 picks, Austin Reeves, Max Christie, a set of veteran minimum contracts. You can go out and do that all you want. You can even go out and if you wanted to trade the 17th pick in the draft for something, you can do that too. You can get up to $35 million. You can trade Max Christie in the 17th pick for something, a future asset, if that's what you want to do. You can do that. We've seen the downfall of what happens to your depth there. Would I do it for the playoffs? Certainly. Remember, you got to play 82 games, and when you have a roster of LeBron James and Anthony Davis and a player like Kyrie Irving who have not played 65 more games in the last 3 seasons, good luck. You'll be lucky just to get into the play-in again here. You'll have a depth of all minimum players like we saw this past season. And as I said with this collective bargaining agreement, it makes it extremely, extremely hard building out. And who knows if Irving even wants to come for a $17 million per year discount. $30 million. That is the maximum that you can get in cap space. 35 if you move the pick in Max Christie. The Irving max is $47 million. There's no way to get to that number. Okay? That is the unlikely thing that is going to happen. I would say the likelihood is that you are going to see the lineup that started this game: Schroeder, Austin Reeves, Hachimura, LeBron, and AD. That is likely going to be your starting five next year. Now, the other option, okay? And I hate to pour cold water all over Laker fans because they're thinking about Kyrie Irving and how much of he can make a difference. He might have made a difference, but as I said, I don't even know if this team gets there with these 3 guys and basically 9 minimum players. I don't know that. Remember, 82 games. This is not a best of 7 series here. The other way that you can look at it from the Irving aspect, can you keep Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura on the roster and still get Kyrie Irving? Highly unlikely. It's possible, but basically it would come out the cooperation of the Dallas Mavericks, who don't have to cooperate anything, and it would basically come out the cooperation of D'Angelo Russell, who basically has to agree to a sign-in trade. Okay? Mo Bamba, Malik Beasley's guarantees are before free agency starts. So unless you have a side deal with the Mavericks and Irving before everything starts, basically you have to have Russell agree to a sign-in trade, Irving agrees to a sign-in trade, whatever picks are coming out, it hard caps you. Irving basically comes at $30 million. So can you do a sign-in trade? What is the goal for the Dallas Mavericks? To get the 17th pick and the 2029 Laker pick, to have basically, now I've lost, wait a minute, let me repeat this. I've lost Jalen Brunson, Spencer Dinwiddie, Kyrie Irving, and I replaced them with D'Angelo Russell. That ain't happening here. So the likelihood of Kyrie Irving in a Los Angeles Lakers uniform is highly, highly, highly unlikely. What you're likely going to see, okay, is that the Lakers prioritize signing Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura, as they should. That is priority 1 here for both those players. The other free agents, we'll see what the cost point is going to be. D'Angelo Russell, extension eligible. I wouldn't bring him back on a contract more than $13-14 million. I wouldn't do it. Lonnie Walker, you can bring him back on a contract at $7.7 million, possibly. Jared Vanderbilt, I would bring back. He certainly has value. I think what you're going to see is Malik Beasley's option get declined. I think you're going to see Mo Bamba contract get waived, because you have to remember the Lakers are going to be dancing around the luxury tax if they bring basically this whole roster back. Because the Austin Reeves contract is going to go from 1.8 to 12.2. Hachimura is going to go up to 14 to 16 million, and the cost goes up. So when you look at it, we probably could have just done books on tape here. What you will see likely happen is the Lakers prioritize Reeves, Hachimura. We will see what's left as far as how much flexibility they have to go out and use that $12.2 million non-tax mid-level exception. Is Schroeder the guy as far as your point guard moving forward? Do you break that up into 2 players here? That's how this roster is going to be built. As I said, they have picks going out, so you have to start prioritizing some of your younger players here. I know, Laker fans, we want Kyrie. No, you don't. Not how this roster is going to be built and how this roster is going to be sustained. So when you look at the finances, as we've talked about, they're over the cap because of the $33.6 million in non-guaranteed salary and the free agent holds of Russell, Hachimura, Reeves, They've got June 29th to exercise the Beasley option and guarantee the contracts of Bamba and Vanderbilt. I expect Vanderbilt's contract to become guaranteed. I think the one thing to keep an eye on is the length of contracts. Basically, Davis and LeBron have player options next offseason, 2024. They have nobody on the books in 2025, 2026. Keep an eye on how far the Lakers are willing to extend past that. As I said, they have access to that $12.2 million non-tax using more than 5 hard caps it. That's where we have to look into the Russell situation and Lonnie Walker as far as the numbers that add up. And as I said, they could just let Russell go and use the non-tax to find their point guard of the future here, which maybe it could be Schroeder for maybe 2 years here. As I said, your priorities are Reeves and Hachimura. I mean, what else can you say about Austin Reeves? Final 11 games of regular season, 20 points, 6 assists, 58, 46, 90 splits. Now, the big question everyone's going to want to know, and I've written about it, and there's a link to it in this article. And there's also an article that Brian Windhorst that we put in the Hoop Collective during the year. Reeves has early bird rights, okay? The most that the Lakers can sign him to is a 4-year, $53 million contract. It has to be at a minimum 2 years, okay? Because of the arenas provision, there's no team that can come in and offer him $25 million for the first year. No team can come in and say, I'm going to give you 4 years, $100 million. It's going to start at 25, and the Lakers can't match that number. What a team can do is they can come in and offer 4 years, $80 million. And basically, it starts at the 12-2 number. It goes up to 12 and change, and then years 3 and 4 are backloaded. You can read all about it here on ESPN.com, on that Hoop Collective article. You can read about it in their in the offseason guide that we have on ESPN.com. I would say there is a 0% chance that Austin Reeves is not on this Laker roster when training camps starts. The Lakers will match likely any offer sheet here. They're not letting him go, and they can bring him back on a 4-year, $53 million contract, or if a team comes in and backloads it. I wouldn't recommend doing that for a team because it basically will tie up your cap space for potentially 4 or 5 days here. Hachimura is a priority. Thought he played really well since they acquired him in the Wizards trade. Second and only behind Malcolm Brogdon in points scored off the bench. 53% on three-pointers during the playoffs. 58% from the field. Expect him to get a $7.7 million qualifying offer. He will become a restricted free agent. I expect his number to be in that $14 to $16 million range. Remember, he has a cap hold, okay? He has a cap hold against the cap. It's almost like a check that is against your savings account. You have to focus on your own free agents before you go out and use cap space. So that's why we said you can go out and get Irving, but you got to renounce Hachimura. He is a priority. Both players are priority. You've got extension candidates. Anthony Davis is eligible for an extension, 3 years, $168 million. That starts on August 4th. We'll see if he gets a new deal. That's going to be interesting. As I said, Russell's extension eligible up to June 30th, 2 for $67.6. That ain't happening. As I said, if you want to do 2 for $30, I would consider that at that number. Team needs depth in shooting, future draft assets. They owe New Orleans an unprotected first in 24. The Pelicans have the right to defer till 2025. They owe Utah 2027. They are allowed to trade their first the night of the draft. They also can trade a 2029 first. So that is a long video. It's 14 minutes on the Lakers offseason. It was a terrific season. As I said, 2 different directions to go. You can go the cap space route. It will cost you Hachimura, Vanderbilt, Bamba, Walker, Russell, Beasley, that whole crew. Hachimura is the main guy of that group. And you can create $30 million in room. You can do that. And Kyrie would come on a discount and you have all veteran minimum contracts. You can try to explore the sign and trade route that you keep Hachimura and Reeves and you get Irving. Dallas would have to cooperate. Highly unlikely. Or you can build this roster organically, focus on Hachimura, focus on Reeves, use your non-tax mid-level exception, draft a player or maybe use that in a trade and then kind of build it out there. Remember, as I said, this new collective bargaining agreement highly restricts teams that build their roster out with 3 players making $35-40 million that the Lakers potentially could. So that's it in a nutshell. You had a great year, Laker fans. Enjoy this roster. I know it stinks losing in 4 games here. I know the tease of Kyrie Irving in a Laker uniform is appealing to you. But remember, you got to play 82 games, and depth certainly matters.